What if I told you that almost everything you think you're choosing, your habits, emotions, and even what you believe is possible, has already been decided by invisible programming running in the background of your mind, patterns written by your past, your culture, your fears, and generations before you? You didn't choose the code, but today you're going to learn how to rewrite it. By the end of this video, you'll see exactly how to step out of the old loops that keep you repeating the same emotions, the same relationships, the same financial ceilings, the same inner stories, and instead start designing a new subconscious architecture built for clarity, power, and peace. This is not another motivation talk. This is a full system upgrade, a 2025 rewrite of how your subconscious mind programs your reality. You're going to understand why affirmations fade, why willpower breaks, and why even when you know better, you still do the same things, because knowing isn't enough when your subconscious is coded for limitation. But here's the promise. By the time this video ends, you'll not only understand how your subconscious shapes every moment of your life, you'll have the keys to start reprogramming it consciously. You'll know how to access the deeper layers of your own operating system, erase the outdated scripts, and install a new identity, one that finally matches who you've always known you could be. If you stay with me through this journey, you will not just wake up, you will reboot. You've been taught to chase success by changing your actions, your routines, or your mindset. But here's the truth. The mind doesn't obey your goals. It obeys your programming. You can't out-hustle your subconscious. You can't manifest abundance while your deeper code is still wired for survival. You can't become the next version of yourself using the same emotional software that built the old one. And that's exactly what this journey, every level of subconscious programming 2.0, is about. It's not just about thinking positive, visualizing success, or repeating affirmations until you believe them. It's about diving into the hidden layers of your inner operating system and finding the places where you were silently programmed to stay small, safe, and predictable. We're going to locate those loops and rewrite them, because your subconscious is not your enemy. It's not sabotaging you out of malice. It's protecting you according to old instructions, somewhere in your past, maybe in childhood, maybe through trauma, maybe through repetition. Your mind decided who you were allowed to be, what was safe to feel, and how much you could handle. It locked those beliefs in as truth, and then it started building your entire reality around them. Think about that for a second. Every decision, every fear, every delay in your life isn't random. It's patterned. It's a loop running silently in the background, like invisible software directing everything you do. You can't see it, but you can feel it. That tension between what you know you're capable of and what you keep doing instead. That's the signal that the subconscious is still in charge. But the beautiful part, that code can be rewritten. You are not a victim of your programming. You are the programmer. You always have been. You've just never been shown how to access the console. That's what this new version, this 2025 rewrite, is for. The world has changed. Technology, information, consciousness, everything is accelerating. But your mind can't keep up if it's running outdated code. So here's what's coming your way. Over the next few moments, you're going to be guided through every level of subconscious reprogramming. From the surface, thoughts that shape your language, to the deep emotional scripts that shape your identity. From environmental cues that shape your habits, to collective imprints that shape what you think is possible. We'll go beyond mindset, into energy, frequency, and identity. Because change doesn't happen from thinking differently. It happens from being differently. As you move through this journey, I want you to start noticing how every belief has a root, every reaction has a trigger, every self-doubt has a memory. The subconscious mind speaks in symbols, repetition, and emotion, not logic. That's Why you can tell yourself I'm confident 1,000 times, but still feel small when you walk into a room. The subconscious doesn't respond to words, it responds to feeling and consistency. We're going to teach you how to speak the language of your subconscious, how to get beneath the noise of thought and enter the place where the real change happens. You'll learn to identify the patterns that have been running your life, the emotional signatures that loop again and again. And then you'll learn to rewrite them. You'll see how your emotions are not random bursts of feeling, but signals. Instructions from the subconscious trying to protect you or guide you. Fear, shame, anger, procrastination, they're not flaws, they're code. Once you learn to read them, you can modify them. You can update the pattern instead of fighting it. And as you go deeper, you'll realize something profound. Most of your limits are inherited. They didn't start with you. They were handed down through family stories, cultural narratives, social systems, beliefs about what's possible, what's realistic, what's safe. These beliefs sink in before we even learn language. They become the architecture of our subconscious. And if we never question them, we live inside someone else's version of reality. This is your wake-up call to question everything. Why do you believe what you believe about success, about love, about money, about yourself? Who wrote those definitions? For you? Because by the end of this video, you're going to realize that you can write new ones. You can install new meanings, new responses, new emotional reflexes. That's what subconscious programming really is, not brainwashing, but self-liberation. The next stage of human evolution isn't physical, it's mental and energetic. It's the ability to consciously sculpt your subconscious, to merge science and spirituality, intention and embodiment. We have more access to neuroscience, quantum theory, and psychology than ever before. But the real breakthrough happens when you apply those insights inside your own mind. So here's my promise to you. By the time we finish, you will not only understand the architecture of your subconscious, you'll have a roadmap to rewrite it. You'll know how to stop reacting to old triggers and start designing your new emotional baseline. You'll be able to align your thoughts, emotions, and environment so that your reality begins to shift automatically. Without forcing it, without faking it, without burning out. You'll experience what it feels like to move from resistance to flow, from anxiety to alignment, from self-doubt to self-command. Because this isn't just about positive thinking, it's about neural rewiring, it's about energetic calibration, it's about emotional mastery. The truth is, enlightenment isn't some mystical event that only happens on mountaintops. It's a shift in perception. It's the moment you realize that the universe you experience outside is a reflection of the code you're running inside. And when you change the code, you change the entire game. Everything you've ever wanted, peace, abundance, love, confidence, freedom, they don't live in the future. They live beneath the layers of conditioning that told you you didn't deserve them. And when you remove those layers, what's left is your natural state: clarity, creativity, power. In this 2025 rewrite, you're not learning how to become someone new. You're remembering who you already are before the programming began. You're reconnecting to the part of you that's infinite, intuitive, and wildly capable. The part that never needed permission. So as we move forward, make yourself a promise to stay open, to listen with your body, not just your mind. Let this be more than information. Let it be transformation. Because every word you hear, every breath you take, every moment of awareness you allow, begins to rewrite your code. You're about to understand how your subconscious shapes your perception of time, opportunity, and identity. You'll see why people repeat the same year of life over and over again, calling it experience. You'll see how energy attracts patterns, how focus amplifies emotion, and how the stories you tell yourself create the reality you live in. But most importantly, You'll learn how to interrupt those stories and write new ones. Ones that align with your true potential. Ones that reflect the freedom, love, and expansion you came here for. This isn't theory, it's practice. And by the end of this journey, you'll have everything you need to shift from being programmed to being the programmer. So take a deep breath. Feel the energy that brought you here. Somewhere inside, you already know that life can be more, that you can think clearer, feel lighter, move with purpose, and finally see results that match your inner vision. That knowing is the signal. The system is ready for its update. Welcome to every level of subconscious programming 2.0. This is your reboot. And by the time we're done, you won't just understand your mind, you'll master it. You've probably heard the saying, your thoughts create your reality, but most people stop there. They repeat positive affirmations. They try to think better thoughts. And when life doesn't change, they start to wonder if maybe it's all just spiritual fluff. The truth is, your thoughts are only the surface layer, the visible tip of a much deeper subconscious system. They're the user interface, not the code. But still, the surface matters. Because every word you think, every phrase you repeat, every silent conversation you have with yourself sends a signal inward. Your subconscious listens 24/7. It doesn't sleep, it doesn't argue, and it doesn't filter for truth. It accepts whatever you consistently tell it as a command. That's why self-talk isn't harmless. It's programming. Listen to the way you speak to yourself. When something goes wrong, what's your first instinctive phrase? I can't believe I did that. Of course this happens to me. I'm not ready yet. Those aren't just complaints. They're microcodes. Each time you repeat them, they build stronger neural pathways that reinforce the identity you've unconsciously accepted. The subconscious says, understood, keep running this pattern. It's not your fault. This language was passed to you long before you ever questioned it. The voices of teachers, parents, society, all merging into a single tone that whispers beneath your thoughts. That inner voice is powerful, not because it's right, but because it's familiar. Your brain will always choose familiar over true until you reprogram it. So the first step to rewriting your subconscious is to debug your language. Start catching your loops. Notice every I can't, every I'm trying, every I should. These are passive codes. They delay power. Replace them with active syntax. I am. I create. I choose. I allow. It will feel strange at first, almost dishonest. That's the resistance of the old program fighting for survival. But remember, you're not trying to trick your mind. You're training it. You're introducing new data until the old code becomes obsolete. This is linguistic programming at its simplest and most profound. Every word carries energy. Say the word problem. Feel the contraction in your body. Now say opportunity. Feel the expansion. The subconscious doesn't distinguish between imagination and reality. It responds to vibration, emotion, and tone. So every time you speak, you're literally sculpting your inner chemistry. Your language becomes your frequency, and your frequency becomes your experience. Try this experiment. For one day, eliminate every negative self-reference. No, I'm tired. No, I'm broke. No, I'm stuck. Replace them with awareness-based truths. I'm recharging. I'm in transition. I'm learning. Feel the difference after just a few hours. Your reality doesn't instantly change. You do. And when you change, your perception shifts, and the world begins to reorganize itself around that new signal. The greatest lie is that thoughts are random. They're not. They're habits. They're emotional echoes from your subconscious state. If your internal dialogue is critical, anxious, or self-sabotaging, it's not because you're weak, it's because your programming hasn't been updated. You're running old scripts on new goals. That's why effort feels like friction. But here's the turning point. Once you become aware of your thoughts, you step outside them. You become the observer, not the voice. And that's where real power begins, in the gap between thought and identity. The moment you can witness your own inner dialogue without fusing to it, you start to rewrite it. So here's your first practice. For the next 24 hours, treat your mind like a training ground. Every time a limiting phrase appears, I can't, I'm afraid, I don't know how. Pause. Take a breath. Then ask yourself, what's the upgraded version of this sentence? Maybe I can't becomes I'm learning to. Maybe I'm afraid becomes I'm expanding. Maybe I don't know becomes I'm curious. Each upgraded sentence sends a new command to your subconscious. It starts to associate discomfort with growth, not danger. That's how reprogramming works. Through repetition, emotion, and choice, you are not changing your mind overnight. You're teaching it a new language, the language of empowerment, ownership, and creation. And as you keep doing this, you'll start noticing subtle shifts. You'll feel calmer in moments that used to trigger anxiety. You'll respond instead of react. Opportunities will appear where there used to be obstacles. This is not magic, it's mechanics. Your subconscious will always seek alignment with your most consistent signal. The more consciously you speak, the more clearly it understands what to build for you. Think of your words as instructions written into your energetic blueprint. Say something enough times, and your subconscious begins to sculpt reality to match it. Not because it's mystical, but because your focus, emotion, and actions all start syncing with the command you've given. That's the loop, thought to feeling to behavior to evidence. And once it starts feeding back positively, your new identity stabilizes. That's the moment when effort turns into flow. So from this point forward, treat every word you say, out loud or silently, as a piece of code. You are the architect of the inner language that builds your outer world. Speak as the version of yourself you want to become, and your subconscious will begin to update accordingly. This is level 1, the surface code. The rewrite begins here, with language, awareness, and the courage to change the way you speak to yourself. In the next phase, we go deeper into the emotional encoding that fuels those thoughts, the feelings that create identity, and the hidden chemistry that keeps your patterns alive. Because words are just the commands, emotion is the electricity that powers them. And when you learn to reprogram your emotional responses, you don't just change your thoughts, you change your reality. Are you ready to go deeper? Emotions are the raw electricity of the subconscious mind. They are not random. They are the body's language, the felt data that tells you what's truly happening beneath your surface thoughts. Every emotion you've ever suppressed, ignored, or misunderstood is still stored somewhere inside you, waiting for acknowledgement, waiting for translation. The subconscious doesn't forget, it archives. And until you open those archives, you live by them. Think about it. The most powerful memories you carry aren't just images or words. They're feelings. You remember the first heartbreak, not because of what was said, but because of the weight in your chest, the hollowness in your stomach. You remember moments of triumph because of the expansion, the lightness, the rush of certainty that filled your body. Emotion is what stamps experience into your subconscious. It tells your system, this matters, remember it. Now imagine this, if every unresolved emotion from your past still carries energy, and energy seeks expression, where do you think that emotion goes when it's not felt? It becomes behavior. It becomes the quiet anxiety that flares before opportunity. It becomes the sudden anger, the numbing distraction, the endless need to prove yourself. These aren't random flaws. They're emotional programs running on autopilot. You've probably been told to control your emotions, but that advice is outdated. Control creates resistance. What you resist doesn't dissolve, it multiplies. The new paradigm, the 2025 rewrite, is about emotional intelligence at a subconscious level, not control, but communication. You don't dominate emotion, you dialogue with it. You learn what it's trying to say. Let's pause for a moment and go inward. Think of the last time you felt triggered, really triggered. Maybe someone ignored you. Maybe you failed at something you wanted badly. Maybe a simple message sent your mood spiraling. In that instant, it wasn't the event itself that hurt. It was the emotional memory it reactivated. And loop. something from years ago, maybe childhood, whispering, "See, you're not enough." That's the code revealing itself. That's where the reprogramming begins. When emotion rises, the old you fights it. The new you listens. Instead of drowning in the feeling, you breathe into it. You let it move through the body without story or judgment. Because emotion, when fully felt, transforms into energy. That energy becomes awareness. Awareness becomes freedom. Here's the truth. Your subconscious doesn't respond to what you think. It responds to what you feel repeatedly. You can say, "I am confident," 1,000 times, but if your nervous system is wired for fear, it will override every affirmation. Your job is to rewire the emotional charge underneath your words. How? Through presence, through integration, through practices that bring emotion and body into alignment. Breathwork, journaling, movement, even sound. Every exhale is a command. Release the old code. Every inhale, install the new one. Let's take an example. You've been trying to attract success, but it keeps slipping away. On the surface, you tell yourself, "I deserve abundance." But deeper down, your body tenses when you imagine it. That tension is a program. Maybe you learned that success means being judged, or that abundance means losing love. Until you rewrite that emotional association, your subconscious will block the outcome to keep you safe. Reprogramming means creating new emotional signatures, pairing elevated feelings with new beliefs. Gratitude, safety, joy, peace, these are not just pleasant states. They are the energetic passwords that unlock new levels of reality. The more consistently you feel them, the faster your subconscious updates. And remember, emotion is contagious within yourself. One upgraded emotion will begin to rewrite others. For example, feeling genuine gratitude often dissolves anxiety. Feeling inner peace dissolves urgency. Feeling worthiness dissolves comparison. You don't need to attack every negative emotion one by one. You need to activate higher ones more often. The emotional body is your internal weather system. When storms come, don't run, listen. Each emotion carries a message. Fear says, "Pay attention." Anger says, "A boundary is broken." Sadness says, "Something needs release." When you decode these signals instead of suppressing them, you step into mastery. You become fluent in the subconscious language of energy. Now imagine what happens when this fluency becomes second nature. You stop reacting. You start responding. You no longer spiral into fear when someone challenges you. You no longer chase validation when you feel uncertain. You stay centered, clear, and present. This is emotional sovereignty, the mark of a reprogrammed subconscious. This is where enlightenment begins to touch daily life, not as a distant goal, but as a lived experience. It's not about transcending emotion. It's about integrating it. Enlightenment is not a state of constant bliss. It's the ability to let everything move through you without losing your center. So as you move through this level, make it practical. When you feel something rise up, don't rush to fix it. Close your eyes, take a slow breath and say, "This is energy. This is communication." Ask the emotion, "What are you teaching me? What do you need me to release?" Let your body answer before your mind does. The subconscious listens to stillness. It rewires in silence, not in struggle. And soon you'll notice something miraculous. The emotions that used to overwhelm you begin to soften. The triggers that used to control you start to dissolve. You'll wake up one morning and realize you haven't felt that old anxiety in weeks, or that old resentment has turned into compassion. That's when you know the program has shifted, because emotion is not just energy, it's memory. And when you rewrite the memory through awareness, you liberate the energy it held. That liberated energy becomes creation power. From this point forward, your emotions are no longer obstacles. They are maps. They point to where your subconscious needs light. Follow them, and you'll find the next layer of your freedom. You've just experienced level 2, emotional encoding. The next step goes beyond the inner world and into the external field, the environment that constantly mirrors and reinforces your subconscious state. Because you're not programming in isolation. Your surroundings are part of the code. The people, the spaces, the digital inputs, all of it either upgrades or downgrades your mind's operating system. And when you learn to design your environment as consciously as you design your thoughts and emotions, your subconscious starts working for you, not against you. Let's move there next. Everything around you is part of your subconscious ecosystem. The colors in your room, the words you read, the sounds that surround you, the energy of the people you interact with, each one feeds data into your system. You are constantly being programmed, whether you realize it or not. The question is, who's doing the programming, you or your environment? Most people underestimate the power of their surroundings. They think they're making conscious choices, but in truth, their environment is shaping those choices before they even appear. If your space is cluttered, your mind feels scattered. If your social circle is full of pessimism, your thoughts become cautious. If your digital feed is filled with fear, your nervous system stays on alert. Every external input is a subconscious command. Look around you right now. Every object, every sound, every open tab on your device is either an anchor to your old identity or a signal to your new one. Your environment is not neutral, it's a mirror of your current level of consciousness. That's why change feels so hard. You're trying to become someone new while living inside the architecture of your old self. Here's the truth. You can't rewrite your subconscious if your environment keeps reinstalling the old code. Let's start with the most obvious layer, your physical space. Walk into your bedroom, your workspace, your car, your digital screens. Ask yourself, does this space reflect the identity I'm stepping into or the one I've already outgrown? You'll feel it immediately. Certain items will carry heavy energy, the gift from a relationship that ended, the notes from a job you hated, the photos that pull you back into nostalgia. These are emotional bookmarks, keeping your subconscious anchored to the past. Clearing them isn't decoration, it's deletion. When you remove old energetic anchors, you create space for new programs to install. Minimalism isn't an aesthetic, it's an energetic technology. Space invites clarity. Clarity invites new code. Next, look at your social environment. Every conversation is a form of coding. Words are vibrations. They enter your field and shape your inner frequency. If you spend time with people who constantly talk about limits, lack, or fear, your subconscious starts accepting that as the normal range of experience. This doesn't mean cutting everyone off. It means setting energetic boundaries. Protect your mental ecosystem as fiercely as you protect your phone battery. Notice how you feel after you leave certain people. Do you feel expanded, inspired, calm, or drained, defensive, restless? Your body tells the truth faster than your logic does. Start choosing connection by resonance, not obligation. You don't have to announce your growth to anyone. Just live it. Energy speaks louder than explanations. Now the digital environment. In 2025, this is where most subconscious programming happens. The algorithms know your attention better than you do. Every scroll, click, and comment reinforces neural pathways. The internet is the new subconscious, an external mirror of humanity's inner patterns. You must decide which codes you're downloading. Clean your digital diet. Unfollow fear-based media. Limit the content that keeps you reactive. Replace it with inputs that inspire, educate, and expand. Every time you open your device, you're stepping into a training ground. Feed your mind what aligns with the version of yourself you're becoming, not the one you're trying to escape. There's also an energetic layer to environment, the invisible field that fills every space you enter. Have you ever walked into a room after an argument and felt the tension, even in silence? That's residual energy imprinted into the field. Your subconscious feels it even when your conscious mind doesn't. This is why grounding practices, burning incense, playing high-frequency music, cleansing with sound or movement, matter. They're not rituals for show. They're instructions to your subconscious that the space is safe for new programming. Environment doesn't just influence your mood, it anchors your habits. Think of how automatic it feels to reach for your phone first thing in the morning. That's not a choice. It's environmental conditioning. If your phone is the first object your eyes see upon waking, your subconscious associates waking with stimulation, not stillness. Move it out of reach, and the pattern begins to break. Every habit you've ever struggled to change is protected by environmental cues. To break the loop, change the cues. Want to read more? Place your book where your phone used to be. Want to meditate? Create a physical space for it, even if it's just a corner with intention. Your subconscious thrives on association. The more you design your surroundings to match your new identity, the easier it becomes to embody it. Your environment also includes your sensory inputs: light, sound, scent. Subtle elements, yet deeply impactful. Bright artificial light keeps your nervous system in alert mode. Gentle natural light signals peace and focus. Harsh noise fragments attention. Intentional sound harmonizes it. Don't underestimate how much your senses teach your subconscious what normal feels like. Redefine normal to mean calm, focused, abundant. And here's a deeper truth. You don't just react to environments, you generate them. Your inner state projects outward, shaping how spaces feel. A cluttered mind creates chaos outside. An aligned heart organizes everything effortlessly. When you feel balanced within, your physical world begins to rearrange itself to match your vibration. That's not magic. It's coherence. This is where mastery begins, designing your reality consciously, from the inside out and the outside in. You create feedback loops of alignment. Your inner state shapes your space reinforces your inner state, and the cycle amplifies until transformation becomes inevitable. So take a moment to imagine your ideal environment, not as luxury, but as alignment. What does it look like? How does it smell? What sounds fill the air? How do you feel when you step into it? That feeling is the template your subconscious needs. Hold it, feel it, then start making micro-adjustments in your real space to reflect it. You don't need to wait for a new house, a new city, or a new life. You start here with what you have. Every object in your space should whisper your future, not your past. Every person you spend time with should echo your potential, not your limitations. Every digital window you open should point toward expansion, not distraction. When your environment begins to speak the language of your vision, your subconscious no longer has to guess what you want. It knows, and when it knows, it delivers. This is level 3, environmental programming. You've learned to change your language, your emotions, and now, your surroundings. Each level upgrades the next. You're teaching your subconscious to operate from clarity, calm, and conscious design, but we're not done yet. Because even as you rewrite your personal code, there's another layer influencing you, a deeper collective script that runs through families, cultures, generations. It's the inherited programming you didn't choose, but still carry. That's where we're going next. You're carrying more than just your own experiences. Every belief you have about money, love, success, or safety is layered with echoes from generations before you. The way you respond to authority, the way you measure your worth, the way you handle conflict, these are not random traits. They're inherited programs, passed quietly from family to family, culture to culture, century to century. You didn't just learn behaviors, you absorbed energy, emotion, and story. You carry ancestral memories in the nervous system, in gestures, in instinctive reactions that make no logical sense in your current life. Maybe you felt it, the strange pull to repeat your parents' struggles, even when you swore you wouldn't. The guilt when things get too good, as if you're betraying someone by succeeding. The unspoken loyalty to patterns of suffering that run in your bloodline. This is collective code. It's not written in words. It's written in emotion and identity. Whole generations running survival scripts. Stay small to stay safe. Don't stand out. Don't ask for too much. Centuries of scarcity teaching the body that abundance is dangerous. Entire cultures passing down rules about love, gender, power, and expression, not because they're true, but because they once kept people alive. The world evolved, but the code never got the update until now. Becoming conscious of collective programming doesn't mean blaming your family or society. It means understanding how deep the layers go and realizing you finally have the tools to change them. Once you see the pattern, you can stop acting it out. Once you name it, you can release it. Start by noticing where you feel emotional resistance when you move toward growth. That resistance often isn't yours alone. It's the echo of someone else's fear living through you. Maybe your ancestors feared persecution for speaking truth, so you stay quiet. Maybe they lost everything when they took a risk, so you overthink every opportunity. The body remembers what the mind forgets. When you catch those moments, those invisible no's that appear when life offers you expansion, pause. Ask yourself, whose voice is this? Sometimes just that question breaks the trance. Awareness dissolves inheritance. This is belief archaeology. You start digging through emotional sediment until you uncover the origin of your inner limits. You separate what's authentically you from what was downloaded into you. The guilt, the fear, the shame, none of it is personal once you understand its collective code. Then comes the rewrite. You begin installing new emotional instructions for your lineage. In my family, it's now safe to be seen. In my culture, it's now sacred to prosper. In my DNA, it's now natural to heal. Every time you embody a new level of freedom, you're not just changing your life, you're rewriting your ancestral algorithm. The transformation ripples backward and forward in time, and something extraordinary happens when you do this. The weight lifts. The same decisions that once felt impossible start to feel obvious. The emotional fog clears. It's like finding a new operating system beneath the old one. The code was always waiting. It just needed a conscious programmer. This level of subconscious reprogramming doesn't end with personal healing. It connects you to something larger. When you clear inherited fear, you open a space for collective evolution. You become a node of upgraded consciousness in the network of humanity. Every act of courage you take becomes an energetic signal that gives permission for others to do the same. The collective code is powerful, but it's not fixed. Every belief that was once used for survival can now be rewritten for creation. Every rule that once protected can now empower. Every fear that once silenced can now awaken truth. You are both the result of generations and the beginning of a new one. This is the essence of Level 4, collective programming. Seeing that you are not separate from the world that shaped you, and that by healing yourself, you participate in healing the system. And once you grasp that, you're ready for an even deeper layer, the archetypal level. The universal patterns beneath every human story. The roles, the masks, the mythic forces that move through all of us. The next level reveals how these archetypes silently direct your choices, and how to reclaim authorship of the character you play in your own life. That's where we're going next. Inside every human being lives a cast of characters, some obvious, some hidden, all powerful. These are your archetypes, timeless patterns that shape how you think, feel, and behave. They are the universal stories running beneath the surface of every culture, every movie, every dream. The hero who strives, the victim who suffers, the rebel who resists, the sage who knows. You may not realize it, but your subconscious assigns you roles in every situation of your life. And until you recognize them, you live by their script. Archetypes are not illusions. They are blueprints of consciousness. They give form to the vast ocean of energy within you. The problem is that most people don't choose which archetypes they inhabit. They get stuck in one or two and call it personality. Someone lives as the caregiver, always saving others but forgetting themselves. Another plays the warrior, always fighting but never resting. Another becomes the victim, unconsciously recreating situations that prove the world is unfair. These roles are powerful because they come with emotional chemistry. When you identify as the hero, adrenaline fuels you. When you identify as the victim, cortisol keeps you vigilant. When you identify as the lover, dopamine colors everything in beauty. The subconscious doesn't care about the story. It follows the chemicals. It repeats whatever pattern keeps the body in familiar emotion. To rewrite the code, you must recognize the pattern. Ask yourself, what role am I playing most often? Whose story am I inside? Do I need to keep living as the wounded one, or am I ready to become the healer? Do I have to keep being the rescuer, or can I step into the sovereign who inspires rather than saves? Every archetype has a shadow and a light. The victim's shadow is helplessness, but its light is humility and empathy. The hero's shadow is pride, but its light is courage and service. The lover's shadow is obsession, but its light is connection and creativity. When you bring awareness to both sides, you gain choice. You can use each archetype consciously as a tool, rather than being unconsciously used by it. Here's the practice. The next time you're triggered, pause and ask, which archetype just took the stage? Maybe the inner child wants comfort. Maybe the inner judge wants control. Maybe the warrior wants to win. You don't need to suppress them. You need to see them. Once seen, they lose control over you. They become allies, not masters. Integration means inviting all your archetypes to sit at the same table. The inner child brings curiosity, the sage brings wisdom, the warrior brings strength, the lover brings compassion. Together, they form a complete self. Wholeness is not about eliminating parts of you, it's about harmonizing them. When this integration begins, life changes texture. You stop being trapped in predictable loops. You start moving fluidly between roles as life requires. You can protect without aggression, love without losing yourself, lead without ego, surrender without weakness. You become adaptable, multidimensional. This is what ancient teachers called mastery of the self. There's a deeper layer still, the collective archetypes that govern entire societies. These are the myths humanity lives through. The rise and fall of empires, the search for saviors, the collective shadow projected onto enemies. When you awaken to your own archetypal dynamics, you stop being unconsciously manipulated by these larger stories. You no longer feed fear-based narratives with your energy. You see through them, and that sight is liberation. From here, you step into authorship. You begin to write your own myth. You decide the role you'll play in the story of your life. Not the one your family assigned, not the one society rewarded, but the one your soul came here to embody. You might choose to be the creator, the alchemist, the visionary. It doesn't matter which. What matters is that you choose, because when you choose, your subconscious aligns with intention. The energy that was once scattered across conflicting identities begins to unify. The hero no longer fights the lover. The sage no longer silences the child. The inner war ends, and what remains is coherence. That coherence is magnetic. It draws in experiences that match your chosen archetype. Choose to be the creator, and you'll notice new ideas, opportunities, and resources aligning with you. Choose to be the healer, and the people and places that need your energy will begin to appear. Reality starts to organize itself around your identity. That's the secret, hidden in ancient myth. Every archetype is a gateway to power when used consciously. Every one of them lives inside you, waiting for activation. You don't need to destroy the old roles. You need to reclaim their light. When the victim learns self-trust, they become the sage. When the warrior learns peace, they become the guardian. When the shadow is embraced, it becomes strength. This is level 5, the archetypal programming layer. It's where the personal meets the universal, where psychology merges with soul. Once you master this level, you no longer feel fragmented or lost. You see every challenge as a scene in your chosen story, every obstacle as an initiation. You begin to live mythically, awake, aware, and intentional, and from here there's only one direction left to go, beyond the story entirely. Beyond emotion, beyond archetype, into the quantum field itself, the place where thought and energy merge to create the very fabric of reality. The next level is where the subconscious becomes creative force, where vibration replaces logic, and where you realize that every moment of focus is an act of creation. That's where we're going next. Everything you've explored so far has been about the inner and outer layers of programming, your thoughts, emotions, environment, and the roles you unconsciously play. But now we move beyond psychology and identity. We enter the quantum layer, the invisible field of energy, where all potential exists before it becomes form. This is the deepest level of subconscious programming, the quantum code. At this level, thought is not just mental noise. It's vibration. Every thought, every emotion, every intention emits a frequency. Your subconscious mind is a transmitter and receiver, constantly broadcasting your energetic signature to the field of reality. That field responds not to what you want consciously, but to what you believe and feel subconsciously. This is why people can say, "I'm abundant," and still feel lack. The words don't matter if the frequency underneath them contradicts the message. Energy doesn't lie. It mirrors you perfectly. Imagine your subconscious as a tuning fork. Whatever frequency it holds, the universe matches. If you vibrate with scarcity, you'll meet scarcity. If you vibrate with safety and gratitude, you'll meet opportunities that confirm that vibration. You don't attract what you chase, you attract what you are. Quantum programming isn't about manipulating reality. It's about matching it. It's the art of coherence. When your inner vibration aligns with the frequency of what you desire, manifestation is not effort, it's physics. The field organizes itself around coherence. But how do you change frequency? You don't do it through mental effort. You do it through state. Think about a time you felt fully alive. Time disappeared, ideas flowed, synchronicities happened effortlessly. That's coherence. In that state, your brain and heart frequencies sync and the subconscious opens. It becomes programmable. You can install new realities in that state faster than years of struggle can ever achieve. This is why meditation, visualization, and breathwork are so powerful. They aren't rituals, they're tuning devices. They quiet the conscious mind long enough for the subconscious to receive a new signal. When you combine elevated emotion, gratitude, love, joy, with clear intention, a specific vision, you broadcast a coherent command to the field. The subconscious accepts it as real and begins creating the conditions to match it. Here's the secret. The subconscious doesn't differentiate between imagination and experience. It responds only to the feeling of reality. When you repeatedly feel something as if it's already true, the subconscious adjusts your perception, your actions, and your energy to fulfill that feeling. Eventually, reality has no choice but to rearrange itself around your new frequency. That's why gratitude is such an amplifier. When you feel grateful for what hasn't yet appeared, you trick the subconscious into believing it's already happened. It begins releasing the neurochemistry and energy that matches that timeline. Your body becomes the vibration of the outcome, and the field responds in kind. This isn't blind faith. It's biological and quantum mechanics working together. Your nervous system sets your frequency, your subconscious amplifies it, and the quantum field mirrors it. Everything you experience is an echo of your internal signal. So to rewrite your quantum code, you must become a master of state. Learn to regulate your nervous system. Learn to choose emotional frequencies deliberately. Learn to hold elevated emotions longer than old ones. Every time you choose peace over panic, presence over distraction, gratitude over frustration, you shift frequency. And those tiny, consistent shifts compound into new timelines. The future is not linear. It's energetic. There are infinite versions of you already existing in the field, each one resonating at a slightly different frequency. The moment you align with one emotionally, you begin collapsing that version into reality. You don't force the change, you embody it. Let this sink in. You don't create your reality through effort, you allow it through resonance. The subconscious is the bridge between thought and field, between biology and energy. It's both the hardware and the software of creation. Once you align it, you stop fighting for outcomes and start attracting experiences that match your inner state. But there's one final layer to this level: energetic hygiene. Just as you clean your body and your space, you must cleanse your energy. Throughout the day, you absorb frequencies from people, technology, and environments. If you don't release them, they clutter your field, distorting your signal. Simple practices like grounding, silence, or visualization reset your frequency. Imagine standing barefoot on earth, breathing light through your body, releasing static energy into the ground. Feel your system recalibrate. That's not imagination, it's recalibration. When your energy is clear, your thoughts sharpen, your intuition strengthens, and your synchronicities multiply. The universe becomes responsive, fluid, immediate. You think of someone and they call. You imagine an idea and the opportunity appears. You stop chasing life and start dancing with it. This is the mastery of the quantum code, learning that the subconscious is not beneath you, it's beyond you. It's the bridge between your inner world and the infinite field of potential. When you master this bridge, you realize that the external world is not happening to you but through you. Take a breath. Feel the pulse of life moving through your body right now. That rhythm, the heartbeat, the breath, the subtle vibration, is the same rhythm that moves galaxies. You are not separate from it. You are a microcosm of the same field that created stars. When your subconscious aligns with that truth, limitation dissolves. This is level 6, quantum code, the dimension where creation becomes conscious, where the spiritual and the scientific meet. You've learned the mechanics of inner programming. Now you've touched the mystery that animates it all. But to embody this wisdom fully, you need a practical framework, a step-by-step process to install these new patterns permanently into your subconscious operating system. That's what comes next, the reprogramming protocol, the daily system that transforms knowledge into integration, theory into embodiment. Let's move into level 7, the reprogramming protocol, the 2025 upgrade. The reprogramming protocol begins with a simple truth. Your subconscious changes through repetition, emotion, and evidence. One breakthrough moment can awaken you, but only consistent practice rewires you. The 2025 upgrade is a living system, a method you use daily to teach your subconscious who you are becoming until it accepts that new identity as the only truth. It's not about forcing yourself to think differently. It's about creating conditions where the new code becomes natural. You're not fighting the old mind. You're re-educating it. You're showing it again and again what safety, expansion, and alignment feel like. When the subconscious feels safe, it learns fast. Step 1. The awareness audit. Every morning before your day begins, observe your first thoughts. Don't judge them, just notice their tone. Are they calm, anxious, neutral, hopeful? These are the programs that activate before you even stand up. Awareness is the flashlight in the dark. It doesn't fix anything, but it reveals everything. Keep a small notebook by your bed and capture those thoughts for 7 days. You'll start to see patterns. That's your current operating code. Step 2. Emotional integration. Now that you can see the code, it's time to neutralize it. Every emotion you feel is a signal, not a threat. When anxiety rises, don't suppress it. Breathe through it, thank it for protecting you, and let it pass. When sadness arrives, don't drown in it. Witness it. The act of conscious feeling converts emotion from storage into motion. Integration isn't dramatic. It's patient. One fully felt emotion can clear years of resistance. Step 3. Environmental calibration. Your subconscious learns by association. Adjust your space to echo your new identity. If you're embodying confidence, create order around you. Neatness signals stability. If you're calling in creativity, surround yourself with symbols of color, sound, or movement. Even a single candle, lit with intention, can become a subconscious anchor. Every object becomes a teacher when it carries meaning. Step 4. Neural repatterning. This is the active rewrite. Choose a single statement that represents the identity you're installing. Short, clear, emotionally charged. I move through life with calm power. Abundance flows to me easily. I am safe to be seen. Then every time your old program activates, repeat your statement. not mechanically, but with full presence. Pair it with breath, movement, or visualization. The body must feel what the mind is saying. Over time, neurons that once fired in fear will fire in confidence. Step 5. Reality testing. Once the inner code begins to shift, the external world will test it. Don't be surprised when old challenges reappear. They're not punishment, they're calibration. Each test is the subconscious asking, are we sure about the new program? Respond differently this time. Stay grounded. Act from the new identity even when the old emotion rises. That's when the program locks in. When you practice these 5 steps consistently, you start to notice something extraordinary. The gap between intention and manifestation shortens. Opportunities that used to feel far away begin to appear in simple, natural ways. You stop chasing growth and start embodying it. The subconscious no longer drags you backward. It moves with you. The 2025 upgrade also includes a rhythm for your nervous system. Think of it as daily software maintenance. Morning sets the frequency, night integrates the code. Upon waking, spend 3 minutes feeling gratitude and possibility before touching your phone. Before sleep, spend 3 minutes releasing the day. Say quietly, everything that happened today is complete. I am safe to rest. This closes loops, keeping your system clean. Weekly, choose one behavior to shift, a single measurable action that aligns with your new identity. It could be as simple as speaking up once where you'd normally stay silent, or choosing rest instead of overwork. Each small act tells your subconscious, this is who we are now. Change becomes self-evident. Remember, the subconscious loves ritual. That's why ancient cultures use ceremony, repetition, and symbol. They speak the language of the deeper mind. You can create your own simple rituals. A certain song before you work, a particular scent when you meditate, a gesture of closing your eyes and touching your heart before you speak an affirmation. These signals tell your subconscious, pay attention. This is important. This entire process turns you into your own hypnotherapist, your own coder. You become the architect of your mental and energetic reality, and as the weeks go by, the shift becomes visible, not just in how you feel, but in how people respond to you. Conversations change, opportunities align, you sense timing more precisely. By the end of this protocol, you no longer need constant affirmations or external motivation. The new program runs on its own. You wake up feeling centered without forcing positivity. You make choices that align with your higher self automatically. The rewrite becomes self-sustaining. This is what mastery looks like in 2025. Not perfection, but consistency. You still feel fear, but it doesn't rule you. You still meet challenges, but you respond from power, not panic. You still evolve, but without losing peace. The upgrade is integration, the moment your conscious, subconscious, and energetic selves operate as one. And when you reach that coherence, you unlock the next level, self-authoring. The final stage, where you no longer just rewrite code. You start creating entirely new programs for your future. You become the conscious programmer of your destiny. That's where we're going next. At this point, everything changes. You've rewritten the code, realigned your energy, and dismantled the illusions that kept you repeating old loops. Now comes the stage that separates awakening from mastery, self-authoring. You are no longer the passenger in your story. You are the writer. The subconscious, once a hidden force running the show, is now a collaborator. The mind that used to react has become a tool for creation. This is where you stop healing who you were and start designing who you are becoming. When you begin to self-author, you stop asking, "Who am I?" and start declaring, "Who do I choose to be now?" Identity stops being a fossil of memory and becomes a living art form. Every thought, every emotion, every choice becomes an act of authorship. You realize you are not the sum of your past experiences. You are the meaning maker of them. You can rewrite any story you've ever lived by changing the interpretation. Pain can become initiation. Loss can become liberation. Failure can become feedback. The subconscious doesn't cling to history. It clings to emotion. Change the emotional meaning, and the past reorganizes itself in your nervous system. That's how you reclaim your timeline, not by erasing it, but by reframing it. Self-authorship begins with vision, not vague wishes, but clear, embodied vision. Close your eyes and see the life that feels most aligned with your deepest truth. Not the life you were told to want, the life that feels like home to your soul. What does a day in that reality look like? How does it sound, smell, and feel? Who are you being there? The more vivid you make it, the more your subconscious begins to treat it as real. From here, translate that vision into identity statements. I am the kind of person who... Fill in the blank with specifics that reflect action, not fantasy. I am the kind of person who speaks gently but powerfully. I am the kind of person who finishes what I begin. I am the kind of person who lives in alignment with peace. Each statement is a contract between your conscious will and your subconscious power. Next, build a blueprint. Imagine your life as a system designed to sustain your highest state. How do you start your mornings? What do you consume? Who do you keep close? What daily experiences remind you of who you are becoming? The blueprint is not restriction, it's architecture. It gives your energy structure. When you know the shape of your desired reality, your subconscious can fill it in. Self-authorship also means taking responsibility for the frequency you emit. You stop blaming circumstances for how you feel. You start choosing vibration the way an artist chooses color. Each day you ask, what energy am I painting with today? Some days it's focus, some days it's tenderness, some days it's quiet power. The author doesn't wait for inspiration. The author sets tone. As you continue, something profound happens. You realize there's no separation between you and the universe you create within. The world begins responding to your internal narrative almost instantly. People mirror your self-concept. Events align with your assumptions. The external becomes an echo of the internal story you're telling. When that happens, you know you've become a conscious creator. But self-authorship isn't about constant control. It's about collaboration with the intelligence that moves through everything. Once you set the narrative, you allow life to surprise you with the details. You don't micromanage the how. You trust the alignment of the field. You learn to write and surrender simultaneously, in tension without tension. That's the paradox of mastery. Here's a simple practice. Every night, rewrite your day in your journal, but from the perspective of your higher self. If something challenged you, rewrite it as a lesson. If something blessed you, amplify the gratitude. Over time, this nightly revision reprograms how your subconscious perceives reality. You start waking up expecting alignment, and the universe delivers exactly that. You can also future script. Choose a date in the near future, 6 months, a year, 5 years, and write from within it, as though it's already true. It's the end of the year, and I can feel how grounded I've become. My work feels aligned. My relationships feel effortless. My creativity flows like breath. The subconscious treats this as rehearsal, adjusting your perception and habits to match. It starts bridging the gap between your current frequency and the one you're describing. This is how authorship becomes embodiment. You think it, you feel it, you act it, and then you are it. The more you live this way, the quieter the old doubts become. You no longer look for signs, you create them. You no longer chase validation, you emit certainty. You no longer fear change, you initiate it. You become the stable center in a constantly shifting world. Eventually, self-authorship turns into artistry. Life stops being a problem to fix and becomes a canvas to express. Even challenges become creative prompts. What version of me does this moment invite? That question alone turns friction into evolution. At this level, you understand that freedom isn't the absence of structure. It's the ability to choose it. You write rules that serve your expansion and discard the rest. You invent practices that fit your rhythm, not someone else's. You customize your reality like software. And then one day, Almost without noticing, you realize you've kept the promise from the beginning of this journey. The enlightenment you were promised isn't distant or mystical. It's practical, embodied awareness. You live from choice, not compulsion. You feel connected to something larger, yet fully anchored in your humanity. You've merged consciousness and creation. This is level 8, self-authoring, the final integration where you become the programmer, the artist, and the living proof that transformation is real. From here, we enter the closing chapter, Conscious Evolution 2.0, where we look beyond personal mastery and explore what it means to live as part of an evolving collective, contributing your unique frequency to a rising world. Conscious Evolution 2.0 begins where personal transformation becomes collective transformation. When you reach this stage, you realize that your individual awakening was never just about you. Every upgrade you've made, every limiting belief you've dismantled, every emotion you've integrated, every truth you've embodied, ripples outward into the shared field of humanity. You become a transmitter of coherence in a world still learning to remember itself. The world doesn't change because people talk about change. It changes because enough individuals hold a vibration of clarity, compassion, and creative responsibility long enough for the collective field to recalibrate. That's you now. You are no longer reacting to the chaos. You're stabilizing it. You're no longer asking for the world to be better. You're being the frequency that makes it better. Conscious Evolution 2.0 isn't a theory. It's a shift in how human beings operate. The old paradigm of achievement, climb, compete, conquer, is dissolving. The new paradigm of creation, align, collaborate, contribute, is emerging. The people who thrive in this new era will be those who understand energy as deeply as they understand effort, who lead from presence rather than pressure, who know that internal alignment is the highest form of action. You've learned how to rewrite your subconscious. You've learned how to design your emotions, shape your environment, and tune your frequency. Now you learn how to use that mastery in service of something greater than yourself. Every conversation becomes a transmission. Every action becomes a vibration. You walk into a room and shift the atmosphere simply by being coherent. You no longer need to convince anyone of anything. Your calm presence does the work. You understand that the most radical influence is invisible. It's energetic. In this stage, you stop seeking enlightenment and start embodying it. Enlightenment is not a light that descends from the sky. It's the light that grows stable inside you, no matter what happens outside. It's the ability to hold peace in motion, to move through noise without losing your signal. You become the still point in a spinning world. The practice now is simplicity. The more advanced your consciousness, the less you need. The more powerful your vibration, the quieter your methods. You live intentionally, you speak sparingly, you create meaningfully. You start valuing depth over speed, truth over trend, presence over performance, and with that simplicity comes a new kind of abundance. The kind that isn't measured in possessions, but in peace. The kind that isn't about having more, but about needing less. The kind that frees you from the endless pursuit of next and roots you in the power of now. When enough individuals embody this state, humanity as a whole begins to evolve. We stop living from fear and start creating from consciousness. Technology becomes an extension of awareness instead of addiction. Leadership becomes stewardship. Education becomes awakening. Work becomes expression. We stop building systems to control and start building systems to connect. You are part of that evolution. You're not just upgrading yourself, you're upgrading the field. Every time you choose compassion instead of judgment, presence instead of distraction, gratitude instead of cynicism, you send a new pattern into the collective matrix. And somewhere, someone you'll never meet finds it a little easier to choose the same. That's the quiet revolution of consciousness. No banners, no slogans, just frequency meeting frequency until the world feels lighter. As you live this new reality, remember, evolution doesn't end. Consciousness keeps expanding, and you are both explorer and creator. Keep updating your code. Keep refining your signal. Keep asking, what else is possible? The universe will answer with experiences that stretch your imagination and deepen your love. So take a breath, feel the stillness behind your heartbeat, and recognize what you've become. You are not merely human trying to awaken. You are consciousness learning how to live as human. You are not a passenger on Earth. You are a participant in its awakening. The promise made at the beginning of this journey has been fulfilled. You understand your subconscious. You know how to reprogram it. You have felt your energy align with creation itself. You have become the author of your reality, the architect of your vibration, the living proof that evolution can be conscious. This is your 2025 rewrite. This is every level of subconscious programming 2.0. The new chapter of human potential doesn't start somewhere out there. It starts in you, right now. And as you breathe in this awareness, remember the simplest, most powerful truth of all. You are not your programming. You are the programmer.